Between Gollum, The Rise of Kong, and the new Walking Dead Destiny game, I've noticed a trend. Something I haven't seen in nearly 10 years. This truly is the return of the bad licensed game. Now for the younger viewers, let me take you back to my past to talk about some games that suck ass. It's the early 2000s and the PS2 is the main console every little boy dreams about and has. I have one myself. And when you play games, you get one at Christmas, one at birthday, and the rest of the time you have to run over to Blockbuster and rent a game. And so every weekend you have, this question is, do I get, one of the Dragon Ball Z fighting games, or do I go for one of the new movie licensed games or another property that's licensed a video game and try my luck at it? And usually the game was fucking abysmal. It was totally trash. Some of the worst games you've ever seen. I have vivid memories of the Chronicles of Narnia video game, some Harry Potter video games, just true absolute stinkers of games. And that was the norm at the time. Licensed games were truly garbo. They would just pump those out for the PS2 to line up with a movie. And this wasn't just in the PS2 era. This was seen, previously back in the console. I mean, the E.T. game on the Atari 2600 that crashed the gaming industry was a bad licensed movie tie-in. This was a huge trend for the longest time in the gaming industry, but around the era of the PS3, you started to see this kind of drop off. A lot of licensed games started to become really good, actually. People put a lot of effort in. And so for the past, 5 or 6 years, for the most part, licensed games have been pretty good. Sure, there have been some stinkers, but for the most part, I can't think of horrible licensed games. But now recently, amongst the 3 games I mentioned, the Gollum, the King Kong game, and now the Walking Dead, these games are legitimately at bad PS2 level of licensed game. Like at the PS2 level. These do not look like current generation games, but these have all released in 2023. It's absolutely unbelievable. The Walking Dead Destiny legitimately released on the PS5. They had the audacity to release that game on the PlayStation 5 and to have slideshow cutscenes. Now, I've seen slideshow cutscenes in bad indie games that are 3D and try and do a little too much and they don't have the budget for it. But on a game that is released on the PlayStation 5 that costs $50, I know it's a discount. That's what they always say. These companies that push out this basically shovelware always say, oh, well, we reduced the price to $50. Are you kidding me? $50 for that? $50 for slideshow cutscenes on the PS5? It's $50 for nothing, for garbage. The gameplay it looks horrific. It looks like something that wouldn't pass in the PS3 era. That would win worst game of the year in 2011. Now, what I wonder is maybe if these games are just COVID games, games that were made during the pandemic when you couldn't really work together. And to give you a little bit of Gunty lore, I'm a software engineer, so I don't really know anything about game design. For me, when the pandemic hit, my job honestly got a lot easier working from home than being in person. But for game design, that might be something that is so intrinsically collaborative that, being separated doesn't give you the ability to, produce a quality product. But at the same time, don't fucking release that shit. I mean, you have it, you looked at it, don't put that out. If you've made a horrific game like any of these 3 games, don't put that out, because it is so embarrassing to make those games in this current year. Because if you compare that to any of the current gen PS5 games, the shit that's like pushing the limits like Horizon, you look so stupid and your game looks so incredibly bad by comparison. I mean, abysmal. Like I said, it reminds me of PS2 era video games. And it's also one of those things where it's not like these people were rushed. There was no good game to begin with. There was no more amount of time that would make any of these 3 games any better. They were just doomed to fail, probably because they weren't given a big enough budget to actually make a good video game. And The Walking Dead has probably had some of the worst licensed game of any license I've seen in a long time. I mean, truly, some of the worst licensed games have come from that license. I truly feel for those fans. They got one fantastic Telltale game and have had to pay for it in the blood of all the other shitty games that they've gotten. I think this is a great reminder of that shitty games are always going to be shitty, no matter what generation of hardware we're on. People will find ways to cut corners and produce something 3 generations behind that really makes you scratch your head and go, what the absolute hell were they thinking? And it's just a funny thing to look at, that the slop that's on the PS5 looks like the slop that was on the PS4, that looks like the slop that's on the PS3, that looks like the slop that's on the Nintendo Switch. And it's just a never-ending cycle. Like, we're never going to get, like, high-quality shitty games. We're never going to get shitty games that realize the full potential of the PS5. They're all just going to look like PS2 ports. Now, I've been on a kind of negative run on my channel lately. Mainly, I've been dogging Modern Warfare 3, but I've made some positive videos. But a lot of the negative videos seem to get a lot of traction, and this is obviously a pretty negative video. And I want to shine some light, because that's kind of the person I am. I don't like being horrifically negative, as much as it seems like I'm having a whole lot of fun doing this video, dogging these games. Let me highlight a great game. The gameplay you are seeing right now is Quake 2, which has been HD remastered in the past couple of years, and it looks absolutely fantastic. It's free with Xbox Game Pass, and I think it only costs you probably $10-20 on Steam, but it comes with all the DLC, and there's a bunch of fun stuff you can play. It has the N64 version of Quake 2 on there as well, and it's just a whole lot of fun. It's really fast-paced, great action. If you're a fan of Doom and Quake, obviously, older gamers know what I'm talking about, but I'm sure I have a lot of Gen Z viewers out there that have never heard of Quake. Maybe they've heard of Doom from the remakes, but Quake is probably some weird offshoot in the 90s they've never heard of. Check out Quake. It's some really cool shit, and if you've never really played a retro shooter, this is a rabbit hole I think anyone can enjoy. Is old 90s shooting games. They never disappoint. That's one thing that no matter what happens, no matter what era of gaming we're in, whether there's PS2 era schlock coming from licensed properties, the old boomer shooter will be a stable and awesome genre for you to sink money into. Even the ones that aren't even that good are a ton of fun in retrospect in comparison to a lot of modern games. Just taking a double barrel shotgun and blowing some guys up into meat hunks is always a fantastic time. And now this video has turned into a Quake 2 glorification video, and honestly, I'm here for it. That's what the internet is about. Blowing shit up, having a good time, reminiscing in some beautiful nostalgia. But anyway, this has been my video. What do you guys think of the current game market? I'm a little bit worried, I guess I could say. I'm not super positive on a lot of the stuff I've seen come out in the past couple of months. I know we've had some good games, but I just feel like we've had way more shit than we have had quality. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you think things are going in a good direction or a bad direction? If you like this video, give it a like and consider subscribing. Sorry, it's kind of early in the morning when I'm doing this and my talking isn't good yet. Consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot, and I enjoy interacting with you guys and allowing you guys to see my future videos and check out what I'm working on. So consider doing that. But of course, if you didn't like the video, go ahead, slap a dislike. That's it works well for me. It helps me out. That's engagement. YouTube doesn't really care whether it's a like or a dislike. And also, make sure to leave a hate comment if you really hated it. But try and keep it, relatively PC. But then again, you'll probably just do whatever you want. So with that, I'll end it here, and thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.